This is how Phineas and Ferb begins and ends. Phineas and Ferb captured the hearts of millions of viewers with their unique premise and memorable characters. The show's duo, Phineas Flynn and Ferb Fletcher, are not your typical kids. They were inventors, constantly coming up with new and exciting ways to spend their summer days. From building roller coasters in their backyard to constructing giant robots, their imaginations knew no bounds. On the other hand, their sister Candace was less than thrilled about their antics. She was always trying to expose their schemes to their mother, determined to get them into trouble. However, despite her best efforts, Phineas and Ferb always managed to outsmart her and avoid getting caught. In addition to the show's innovative concept, Phineas and Ferb was also known for its catchy songs. Each episode featured at least one musical number, often with witty lyrics and infectious melodies. From Gitchy Gitchy Goo to Busted, the show's soundtrack was an integral part of its charm. Overall, Phineas and Ferb remained a beloved show that holds a special place in the hearts of many fans. Its unique blend of creativity, humor, and heart has made it a classic that will be remembered for years to come. While all this is happening, their pet platypus is busy battling an evil pharmacist and his army of robots, always in a covert and unexpected manner. Accidentally, they end up making the machine they created disappear right before their mother arrives. And this is how they've repeated this formula in 1, 2, 3, and even 4 seasons. Although there is no established beginning in the show's timeline, it is known that since the beginning of time, with the help of their friends and inventions, Phineas and Ferb have managed to create endless adventures and never-ending fun during their summer vacation. Traveling through time with Phineas and Ferb as they explore the history of invention and innovation. From the early days of humanity to medieval times and beyond, the show explores the idea that inventors have always been a part of our lives, pushing the boundaries of what is possible and shaping the world we live in today. Through their adventures, we see how Phineas and Ferb's ancestors paved the way for their own creativity and ingenuity, and how they continue to inspire future generations to think outside the box and pursue their own passions. And with the help of their friends and family, they were able to turn their ideas into reality, no matter how wild or outlandish they may seem. As the show progresses, we see Phineas and Ferb grow and develop as inventors, honing their skills and learning from their mistakes. And with each new invention, they bring a sense of joy and wonder to those around them, reminding us of the power of imagination and the importance of chasing our dreams. All in all, Phineas and Ferb is a celebration of creativity, innovation, and the boundless potential of the human spirit. Through their adventures, we are inspired to think big and believe in ourselves, no matter what challenges we may face along the way. It's fascinating to see how these two brothers have a backstory even before they became the Phineas and Ferb we know in the series. Let's delve a little deeper into their origins. From a young age, Phineas used his imagination to come up with machines that would make his days more exciting. Along with his older sister Candace, he is the youngest son of Linda Flynn, a former singer who, after a failed marriage, remarries Lawrence Fletcher, who, by the way, is also a famous keyboardist. This creates the dynamic that we see in the show, with Phineas and Ferb's inventive minds and Candace's attempts to bust them to their mom. The bond between the two brothers led them to have an idea of starting to create different machines or structures to kill the boredom of the summer. This shows that Phineas and Ferb are both geniuses, capable of creating anything in the backyard of their house. Meanwhile, their older sister Candace often supervises them as their parents are busy with their antique store during the day. Candace is a typical teenager with normal interests, but she has an exaggerated obsession with her neighbor, Jeremy. Candace is always worried about her brothers, and whether it's out of a protective instinct or just plain jealousy, she always tries to tell on them to their mother, which almost never works. Now that we have summarized the roles of the main characters of the Flynn-Fletcher family, let's move on to the other important characters. On one hand, we have Isabella, as the neighbor who has a romantic interest in Phineas, trying to capture his attention and constantly seeking him out and trying to do something with him. Additionally, Isabella is the leader of the Fireside Girls troupe, who has helped the boys by testing out their inventions. However, she is not the only one who accompanies them on their adventures, as there is also Baljeet, an extremely intelligent boy obsessed with algebra, who acts as the brain of the group, and Buford, who is a burly boy who thinks and acts with his brute strength, as demonstrated by his actions making him look like a wild boar. The three members of the gang, Phineas, Ferb, and their friend Isabella, are the main team behind their imaginative and often mind-boggling inventions. However, there's another character who deserves a mention as a mass idol, a potential star, and a unique crack in the field: Perry the Platypus. He's not just a great pet and companion for the brothers, but also a highly skilled secret agent of the organization OWCA, assigned to thwart the evil schemes of Dr. Doofenshmirtz. The best secret agents for the spy animal agency called OWCA, organization without a cool acronym, are also known as Agent P, or P10, one of the top members of the organization. As an Australian semi-aquatic mammal with flat feet, Perry is not a duck nor a beaver, and his alter ego as a secret agent is known only to a few, including his boss, Major Monogram, and his assistant Carl. Perry's missions often coincide with the boys' activities, leading to comical and action-packed storylines. Despite being a secret agent, Perry is also a beloved member of the family who disappears from the house to embark on his missions, leaving the boys to wonder where he went. It is heavily mentioned that they make inventions in their backyard because if agents are assigned to a specific villain, and these villains, that is, pets, are recruited when they already have a family and a secret identity to maintain, but always with the caution that if they are discovered by their relatives, they will be transferred for protective purposes. Now, we have to talk about the villains, or rather, the corporation of evildoers and associates created for malignant purposes, and the buying and selling of instruments for villains. OSBA has always had a rivalry against the corporation, and among all of them, the villain that stands out the most is Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, better known as Heinz, because his full name is quite difficult to pronounce. He is someone who has one of the most problematic and traumatic childhoods in the history of animation. It is revealed that Dr. Doofenshmirtz was abandoned on the day of his birth, and on his birthday, he was raised solely by cheetahs. He had a dress to go to school every day, and his balloon, which was his best friend, ran away, according to his family. The only thing he was good for was being a garden gnome. Even in the family hierarchy, they were below his dog. This is how the creation of a resentful villain who wants to seek revenge at all costs using his blasters to kill his brother, Roger, the mayor of the city, was born. He always plans to conquer and dominate this border area of Danville, which is the city where the series takes place, solely for the purpose of getting revenge on his brother. As you can deduce, he was not an only child, but had a younger brother who was always better than him in everything, and was treated well by their parents. This caused an enormous resentment towards his younger brother, which grew even more when Roger became the mayor of Danville, hence the desire for revenge. The main and only goal of the first meet is to take control of the border area of Danville in order to humiliate his brother and finally be better than him at something. However, he is far from achieving this. Understand that the first meet, in the present, is a problematic person who is divorced and has a daughter named Vanessa who lives with him. They both rely on the millionaire alimony from his ex-wife, which is where he gets all the money to continue his evil plans. So, while he may be someone bad in everything he does, what he tries to do the most is be a good father. The only thing that worries him in the world besides dominating and subjugating an entire city is his daughter, and he tries to give her everything he can. It is clear that Vanessa is his top priority, wherever he goes and whatever he does. Most of the time, Vanessa feels ashamed of him, and is hardly ever home because, despite our evil scientist's efforts, Vanessa does not consider him a good father and prefers to spend time with her mother. In the following seasons, to avoid being alone, Doof creates a robot assistant that we know as Norm, somewhat clumsy and not very intelligent, who tries to help him but often ends up doing the opposite. Unfortunately for him, his plans never worked and were constantly frustrated by Agent P. Anyway, one day, one of his machines would work and open up a whole new dimension of possibilities. Or better said, a second dimension in the year 2011. It's been 11 years since then, and time flies quickly. One of the best stories that Phineas and Ferb could have had was launched for television, an epic journey that took them to an alternate dimension of their world by a machine that the stepbrothers managed to fix with the help of their friends. This is how an alternate dimension was opened, where Doof became the supreme emperor of the border area. He wasn't motivated by a traumatic childhood or a sabotaging brother, but by something much worse, something much more traumatic: the disappearance of his toy train. This alternate duo's first meeting eventually turned into an imposing villain who managed to defeat Perry's counterpart, turning him into his lackey. Meanwhile, Phineas and Ferb and Perry were in this second dimension, and the alternate first meet duo managed to see through Perry and discover his secret identity. After meeting this second villain from the other dimension, things took an unexpected turn for them who are from the second dimension, and were also part of a resistance movement against the evil alternate duo. Together, they teamed up to try and stop the villains from carrying out their plan to take over both dimensions. Meanwhile, Perry was captured and brainwashed by the villains, forcing Phineas and Ferb to try and rescue him and restore his memories. It was a race against time as the fate of both dimensions hung in the balance. In the end, with the help of their alternate selves, Phineas and Ferb were able to defeat the villains and save both dimensions. Afterward, Perry reveals to Phineas and Ferb that he had to keep his secret identity as a secret agent hidden in order to protect them. But it turns into an argument which leads to Perry leaving them alone as he continues to wander on the dangerous streets of the second dimension all alone, wearing his hat as it starts snowing heavily that night. Soon they meet alternate versions of themselves, who was much sadder and duller, and they were not familiar with the concept of summer. It was clear that these brothers were not alone, as they were accompanied by their own version of Candace, a much rougher version, and the leader of the rebel group in Danville, who would try to help the brothers return to their dimension. However, it was not going to be easy because of the doofenshmirtz of the second dimension had other plans. Through a message on television, he told Perry that if he surrendered, he would not harm Phineas and Ferb. But obviously, it was a trap. Doofenshmirtz was going to harm Perry anyway, and this is how the brothers found out that their pet was in danger. They are in danger and in search of their doubles to join the resistance composed of Candace, and in their attempt to escape, they accidentally open a portal where the normal Candace enters, who immediately contrasts too much with Candace from the second dimension. Following the story, they all set out to look for Perry, but also fall into a trap and are captured and forced to repair the portal machine that the alternate Doof was going to use to invade the normal dimension. This is where Doofenshmirtz manages to make the machine work again to invade the universe, but he is betrayed by his own version from the second dimension. Now, he is also thrown into the lava along with Phineas and Ferb and the entire cast of characters, and here the movie clearly doesn't end because they are all saved by the alternate Candace, who gives them the device to switch dimensions. Soon, they arrive at their own dimension, where Perry sacrifices himself to give them a chance to return to their base of operations and use the machines they created during the summer in a legendary battle against the robots from Alternate 3000 with more members of the OWCA. Of course, they win against the robots, and the Doof from our universe decides to end all of the problems by returning his duplicate's train to the other dimension to achieve complete peace. Everyone reunites in a touching moment where, now that Perry's secret identity is known, it would be the moment to abandon the family or simply forget that this happened and continue on as if nothing happened. Their own dimension, grateful for the adventure but happy to be back home with their friends and family. Finally, the boys come to understand and forgive Perry for hiding his identity. When Perry was also restored to his former self, the boys learned the importance of honesty and trust in their relationships. It's a good movie that maximizes the elements of the series, but it's not the only one that was made, and sometime later, another one would arrive. The second movie of the series first came out on Disney Plus, and is set before the end of the summer events of the last season, which we have already discussed. This one is completely focused on Candace and her personal conflicts. After spending the whole summer trying to bust her brothers without success, she and Vanessa are kidnapped and taken to a planet called Feme. While it seems that Vanessa escapes, in reality, she doesn't. An important detail is that Phineas and Ferb, with the help of 3000, decide to build a spaceship to travel to this planet. with the help of their friends and Agent P, who, for security reasons, and conveniently for everyone, was hidden inside the ship. The team also brought useful objects such as a canoe and a chicken replacement device, but never anything destructive like a bazooka, an atomic bomb, or anything that wouldn't serve the plot. When they arrive at Feme-Loud, Candace forms a good friendship with the Super Doctor leader, as they both share something very important: the feeling of being underestimated by their own brother. Candace supposedly emitted a substance called Long Wonder, and on the other hand, Phineas and Ferb, along with their friends, are captured on this planet only to discover that there is secretly a dictatorship towards other types of creatures. The cowards who were under the Queen's mental control, which she manipulated through the spores of a plant. This plant needed the substance that Candace emanated to grow back because it was dying. But as they didn't realize, the plant didn't actually need the amazement substance. It needed carbon dioxide, and Candace accidentally revealed to the Queen during a fight that Earth was full of this element. Thanks to Candace. We don't demand a big hug, so you can imagine what happened next with the Queen. It seems that she was going to want to conquer planet Earth. It was clear that Phineas and Ferb would join the rebellion and would try to end the Queen's rule. But it would be in vain because she would manage to reach Earth with Candace. But where is Perry? Well, in the meantime, Perry and Doof are conveniently saved by Vanessa, who never left the planet and now rides a giant dragon. Such are the twists of life. Who would have expected in their right mind for that to happen? This is how the group of kids, following the Queen towards Earth, end up mistakenly shot out of the sky, and, to land on Earth, they use the always convenient canoe, modified by Phineas and Ferb in midair, impressively landing in the same football stadium where Candace and the leader were. At this moment, things are quite tense as a sequence, where the Queen poorly explains her evil plan. The stepbrothers manage to rescue and cheer up Candace by giving her a cup, with the best moments they live together, in a very tender scene. But to top it all off, for the first time, when a villain reveals their plan, it actually works. The Queen was using the plant to brainwash the people in the stadium, and after putting on masks to avoid the plant's effects, Candace tells the Queen that she was crazy for trying to dominate worlds. The Queen says, "You know what? You're right," and then gets eaten by the plant, much to everyone's surprise. The plant transforms into a giant creature, and a chase ensues. The plant transforms into a giant creature, and a chase ensues where the only thing that saves the group is the chicken replacinator, which replaces the annoying giant plant with a chicken as Candace takes her chances. The movie ends on a very positive note, with Candace learning the valuable lesson that accusing her brothers is not always the priority, even though she had the opportunity to do so. After 3 successful seasons and being one of the longest running series on Disney Channel, the creators decided it was a good time to give it a proper ending, with a final season that many of us may have left due to lack of interest or feeling that it had dragged on too long. The series has 2 different canon endings: The Last Day of Summer and Acting Your Age. The Last Day of Summer is a parody of Groundhog Day, where Candace and Doofenshmirtz are stuck on the last day of summer over and over again due to a device accidentally activated by Candace and Doofenshmirtz. It would give Candace the opportunity to accuse her brothers, and Doof of the opportunity to try to be the leader of the neighboring area. While the latter succeeds in his goal, the problem is that the more the days are repeated, the stranger portals take objects that no one remembers to exist. For example, at one point, a portal absorbs a spoon, and in the normal world, no one remembers what a spoon is. The problem is that these portals increase to the point where they suck in Phineas and Ferb, making no one remember who they were. Candace, with the help of her friends, creates a machine to go into the void and recover the boys. It is in this space where the boys discover that the more the same day is repeated, the more the timeline tears apart unless the original machine is destroyed. Finally, Doof manages to become the governor of the border area and prevent Perry from fighting him, depressing him, and Vanessa came up with the strangest product of all, which was that she ended up in the OSBA internship program, the organization that Perry is a part of. Leaving aside, the new governor creates a new machinery that ends up correcting all the space-time issues, while Candace does actually the same. Thus, they solve all the temporary problems and the series ends hinting that Doofenshmirtz retired from being a villain at once because it was no longer making him happy. Also, it is revealed that Vanessa makes a comment for her father to join the OSBA since, technically, being raised by cheetahs, he was considered a kind of poor animal to whom everything happened. We wrap up everything with a song that recaps the good moments they shared and the great parts of the series, as Phineas bids us farewell and thanks us for accompanying him all these years. Technically, this is the end of the series. Both the OSBA agents and 2 101 episodes tell us what happened to some of the characters. After showing Doof retired from villainy and as an agent of this organization, he is then seen in the Milo Murphy series, which would show in its second season that it shares the same universe as Phineas and Ferb, and would also have adult First Mile living with Milo after his house was destroyed. But what about the rest of the characters? Remember the episode of the Quantum Travels? Well, part of that chapter served as the end of the series by showing the day of the characters several years into the future as teenagers, delving into everything that happened to the characters and revealing that Isabella has been in love with Phineas for years. Phineas reveals that he is also going to the same university as her to be together in a beautiful moment that would bring a tear to anyone's eye. But what about the rest of the characters? Good question, average citizen. Ferb moved to the countryside with Vanessa, while Phineas and Isabella got married as she received an award in Switzerland. Perry and 2000 continued as archenemies for eternity. Carl took over the position of Major Monogram. Buford is now studying cinematography, and Baljeet managed to become a professor. Candace married Jeremy, and they had 3 children. And that's how all the characters finally close this timeline. This is how everything concludes in the end, and it is important for us to look back at all these series that shaped us in one way or another, as most of us had time to watch them on our televisions. The nostalgia of these unforgotten cartoons cannot be bought with any amount of money, which is kept noted as a universal truth. Now, most of us who have watched stuff like these on our television just don't have time or comfort to focus on something because of growing up. And at the same time, nothing this good comes out on television either, making it 50-50. Thank you very much to all those who stayed until the end of the video, and thank you very much to the creators of Phineas and Ferb, who created something amazing to keep on watching even after all these years. Surely we'll see each other on this channel next week though. No need to be sad about our departure. Please drop a like and subscribe if you like the video, which will help us to recognize the people supporting this channel, so we can keep bringing content like this all the time. Now, without further ado, we'll see you in the next recap as soon as possible.